moon.
Hello, how are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. If you could start us off with your name and where you're from.
Absolutely. So my name is Julian. You might know me on the Legion Discord as Julian and Stuff, and I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Okay, very nice. What faction and list have you been playing lately?
Much to the chagrin of I think everyone in my area, I have been stuck on virtually the same list since it came out of the summer of over a year ago, and that's Blizzard Force out of the Empire.
Oh, okay. What flavor of Blizzard Force is that?
Yeah, I think that's where I deviate a little bit from where people see the name of the list, and that's that I'm running an ATST with just an
Hmm.
officer. Unfortunately, after they did the balance pass and they raised the cost of a lot of things, we lost Veers in favor of Becky.
Ah, okay, okay. So that's so you have Becky, you have an ATST and four bikes, two
Four by
HRUs,
yeah,
and okay. Do you do like the full four guns on the ATST or
yeah, I do. There was a brief window of time when Dark Troopers were all the rage that I
right?
switched out from um, the RC-97 to the missile launcher, and that was pretty effective of just cleaning up Dark Troopers very early in the game, playing at long
Okay.
range, and then the army kind of falls apart. But when I went into Canadian Nationals, I wasn't expecting there to be a very large presence of Dark Troopers. So I made the cuts I had to. So there's no emergency transponders. There's only an
Hmm.
improvised order on the Imperial officer, and then I could have both guns, the RT-97C and the DLT-19, to keep my HRU's unit moving every turn.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I don't fully know why Dark Troopers have fallen off so hard, but they seem to have fallen off pretty hard. Um,
For me at least, it was just about well, once you get the numbers down and people are only running one unit of them instead of two or even three, it's just a matter of keep away. They're so slow, right?
yeah. Yeah, this is true. Okay. Our next question here is what do you see as your playing strengths with this list?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, what my friend Dean would say is four bikes are the problem, and so I have to give him credit with that. And the my former play when I first was picking up Blizzard Force was to try to be very aggressive with it. This army that could hold back for one turn and crash into you entirely across the board, every unit from the ATSDs to the HRUs to all four bikes simultaneously, and kind of pick the teeth out of my
Yeah.
opponents. But as the game changed, and especially the rules update last year, which changed the cover mechanics, units just became very sturdy. And
Mm,
multiple instances of attacks just would rack up suppression, but wouldn't really get the damage in. So I switched it up, and you'll find if you play against me, it can be kind of frustrating. But the bikes spend most of their time toilet bowling at the back until I'm ready to commit them, either for a coup de grace because there has been some success elsewhere, or just to fly in and take objectives.
okay. Okay, that's a lot of points and activations even just to be sitting spinning around.
Well, in fact, the activations are part of the benefit. It's another pass that you have without having to
Okay.
commit in, and the it comes from another game. But the question at the beginning of the game that I ask is, who is the beatdown? And I actually find that this modern version of Blizzard Force is not the beatdown. It's designed to endure you for the first few
Hmm.
turns, and between deploy for ground assault, giving you speed 3 on your HRUs who are already they're unhindered, plus four bikes that can move speed 3 times, and plus an ATST, which is only speed 2, but its base is so large, you can transform a breakthrough from what seems like a 0-0 or even a 0-1 where you're behind into transformatively, you have 5, 6, 7 units in their end zone in
Oh
one or
wow.
2 turns.
Yeah.
And everything showing up all at once is just impossible to deal with.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Very different though than what you normally see with the alpha striking.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been told.
So what weaknesses or flaws do you see to this list?
um, yeah, if you being honest, the reason why I play it is that it doesn't really have many weaknesses or flaws. You
Okay.
do tend to rely very much on the bikes, and so if an opponent knows what they're doing and they have range 5 with sharpshooter or just like intentionality, and they start removing your bikes, the army is no longer cohesive. An ATST, like it's so big, it's 200 points, and it's only one scoring unit.
Yeah.
Really means that it can become your opponent can just stop fighting you and just run across the field and similarly win.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I could see that. Have you played against the experimental droids much yet?
That was my last round at Canadian Nationals,
Oh.
and I was shout out to Dean again 2 times. He actually had gone with me to Canadian Nationals, and he had played that experimental droids player in the same round that I played another person from Vermont who's on his team,
Uh-huh.
but they had very different experimental droid approaches, and I hadn't played into it yet. So I got my game, which gave me one style, and I walked away from that convinced I knew how to handle the army. And then after Dean's game, he came up to me and gave me the blow by blow of how he got just blown off the table on turn 1
Wow.
from the super fast assassination droids. And I used that actually in my final game. Um, we played hammer and anvil just to slow him down a little bit. I used my ATST just as a roadblock, physically blocking off terrain and the edge of the board to keep him from
Mhm.
moving and break through. And my bikes hugged the edge of the board to go from one end to the other, only after there wasn't enough turns left in the game for him to shoot me back. So it was a cagey cat and mouse that involved a very interesting use of how combat snaps you into place and some
Yeah.
sacrificial HRUs and snowtroopers who just wanted to hug droids all day and keep him tied up.
I mean, whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, do you have a fondest or most memorable moment in in Star Wars Legion?
Um, yes. So at Du Bois of last year, I had the pleasure of playing against Luke Cook, the world championship,
Oh.
and I didn't know who he was at the time. In fact, my friends who did know who he was and were intimidated by him saw that I had been paired and had held that information away from me so that I would go in kind of just wildly having fun. And it was an incredible game. This was a very different style of me. I was playing a very aggressive game into his mass activation bounty hunter list, and it all came down to his IG shooting my lone officer to take the bounty, and she couldn't roll one save. That was just
Oh
her inability.
no.
And I shouted an expletive as a comedic effect, but it definitely drew the attention of basically everyone in the hall. And I went like bright red because I realized what I had said. But I'll never forget it. And excellent game and excellent player.
Nice. Those those white dice can be
Sometimes they
very
show up.
stubborn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How about your fondest non-game moment in the Legion community?
Fondest non-game moment. I think that was at Las Vegas Open
Mm.
last year, and it was day 2. We were just playing for fun because we'd lost the. Well, it was the I was playing for fun, but I played against a droids player, and I cannot remember his name. He almost took the day, but it was coming off day 1 where everyone was a little bit sweaty and a little bit like crunchy, and I can be that way too. So like, there's no shade. But I
Yeah.
showed up expecting it to be a way more intense game because the only people there were now 3-0. Otherwise, you got dropped. And it
Right.
was actually just the most laid back, friendly game ever. We were talking everything out. And it's killing me that I can't remember his name because we added each other on Discord and became friends afterwards. But it was really nice to see that and he actually came second. So if you want to look him up,
Yeah.
even at the most competitive play in the Legion community, like everyone's actually really chill and friendly, which stands out for war games.
Yeah. Yeah. It is easily the best thing about the game
Mhm.
is the community. And it's nice that everyone's having that same experience with our community. So it's
Yeah.
good. Okay, so back to your Blizzard Force. What
Hmm.
kind of list do you want to play against, and what kind of list do you not want to play against?
Oh, also a good question. So this is maybe controversial because I know people don't like this army, but my favorite list to play up against is actually the clone ball with Anakin just trying to dodge spam and
Oh,
outlast you. Because my army has the ability to say, if you want to play that game, then we just won't shoot each other, and I'm way faster than you.
That's
Uh,
true.
so kind of what I hinted at earlier is that you can take this very boring style game and get through your turns pretty quickly because there's a lot of passing going on. And once they no longer have enough activations to ever make a score or to adjust their score, you just throw your entire army into them, and they can't kill you in one turn, right? So they go from
Okay.
trying to be the passive turtle to realizing that they just dirtled around and didn't accomplish anything. Blizzard Force, it shouldn't be because it's snow troopers, but it's the fastest army, I think.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, between like what you mentioned before, experimental droids are catching up because they could do the speed 3 trick
Mhm.
3 times, but I don't think they don't have it to the same extent. You've got seven units that are moving crazy fast,
Yeah,
and only two of them require a command card to be played to move fast.
it's a great command card. It's so versatile.
Yeah, they have a lot of great command cards.
They do. They do.
Every single one is a banger.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about a list that make you nervous?
Well, on the opposite end, it's a very skewed list, but it's double ATST Tempest Force.
Okay,
Um,
I was
because of the
wondering.
way that you kind of like Rochambeau your ATSTs, the having two of them generally means that the Blizzard Force ATST will die, and both of the Tempest Force ATSTs will be still alive. Granted, one of them is significantly weak, but trying to chip the last few health off an ATST can be quite difficult, unless you're me, who has rolled 11 blanks in one go before. But uh, that's the army that I find, and they also have bikes, so that's the army I find the most intimidating.
Mm,
Um, to it's just like such a feels like such a hard counter.
armor skews, kind of.
Armor SKUs, but like nobody runs tanks, right? They suck.
Right, right. That's fair. Is it specifically the two ATST Tempest Force or also the three?
I think the three is more of a meme.
Okay.
It's it is worse because they'll kill both your ATSD in the first turn or the turn that they can get into range of each other.
Yeah.
It is worse. I just don't know if anyone would run that army competitively that isn't, or like, so I played that army. I'm not going to lie. I tried to move
Yeah.
away from Blizzard Force into it, and I own three ATSTs, and I enjoyed playing with it briefly. But it doesn't, if you kill the two Scout Trooper squads, it
Yeah.
can't win anymore, basically. So it's funny,
Okay.
but I don't think it would ever show up at a tournament. So the two Tempest Force one, though, that one, it shows up.
Yeah. The Europeans tend to think the triple ATST is hot.
Really? On
Yeah.
playing the continent.
Yeah. I mean, so we'll see how many show up next week at Adepticon, but there's
The
good
more
odds.
ATSTs, the better. It's my favorite model in the game, so I want to see it the most.
It is very thematic. It does
Mhm.
bring everyone to the table. I mean, it's like 2 feet tall almost, right?
Mhm.
Um, okay, wrapping up here. Could you give us a fun fact about yourself that others might not know?
Fun fact about myself. Um, I don't know. Wow, it's a great question that I wasn't prepared for because someone didn't send me the interview questions
Oh,
ahead of time.
oops.
That's okay. I'm actually like a super introverted person, and so I have to muster up a lot of like personal courage at these events to be like the outgoing individual that I think a lot of people know me as. And just special thanks to everyone who not doesn't hold me accountable to go out for drinks after the event because I go right back to the hotel room and sleep for 12 hours, just because it's it's like so much social for me. So I think
Yeah,
that's a fun fact about me that I'm out here for you guys, and you've been always great showing up and being fun back.
that's fair. That's good to hear. It's good to hear that you have friends that like accept all these things about
Yeah.
you. Very cool. Do you have any local stores or clubs that you would like to shout out?
Absolutely, the two best places if you want to play Legion or any other game in like the Southern Ontario area, I think is X Planet Games in Mississauga. Fantastic store. Lionel's out there doing a great job every single week, and he runs awesome events. And Tista Minis out in Hamilton, Ontario. A little bit further for me, but Ron there, he also puts on a great show. They have a lot of tables. They fill it with thematic terrain, and it's all and good people at both stores, which I think is the real hallmark because you can tell that the store is good if the customers are good because the bad customers kind of wean themselves off of good stores.
Very true. Very true. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time. We hope we won't see you this year at Adepticon, but hopefully we'll see you next year.
Yeah, I just got to win that second golden ticket.
There you go. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. All right. Have a good night.
Yeah.
That's no moon.